Blessings, beautiful beings. Thank you so much for joining me today for our Halloween practice. Costume is not required, but if you want one and you want to wear it, feel free to. Otherwise, you can just come as you are, or depending on when you're practicing it, it may not be Halloween. It's not Halloween for me yet either, but you know, it's fine. It's close enough. This is the Halloween practice, so it's just a couple days, and I'm living in this because it has been gold. For practice today, you can grab a couple of blocks if you have them. If not, that's okay. You can also grab some thicker books that you can use to bring the floor up to you. Also, if you have a yoga blanket or a bolster, feel free to grab those also. If you don't have those, you can grab any pillows that are around the house or a blanket or just whatever you have. And if you have nothing, that's okay too. We will work with it. So we are going to start practice today in a comfortable cross-legged seat or just a seat of your choice, whatever feels good to you. If you have a blanket, you can grab it and you can use it just to come down and sit on. That is going to elevate your hips above your knees a little bit, and it helps to lessen the strain on those joints. So let's go ahead and just start by getting grounded and centered and ready for our Halloween practice today. So you can get into your comfortable seat, take a few breaths, really focus on your breathing. See how you feel today. Your hands can be up or down, whatever feels comfortable for you. And then if you'd like, you can soften your gaze or close your eyes and then just focus on your breath for a moment. As you inhale, feeling your lungs expand and extend. And as you exhale, feeling everything contract and come in. You can also focus on the cool air coming in through your nostrils, and then the warmth of the air as it exits. While you're sitting here, you can even set an intention for today's practice if you'd like. Or if one doesn't come to mind, that's okay too. And we'll really make this our own practice today. So again, just focus on what feels good to you today and what you feel like you need. Take just a few more breaths here. And then when you are ready, go ahead and slowly open your eyes or find something to focus on. And then we're going to start to warm up our bodies a little bit. So the first thing that we'll do is warm up the spine a little bit. So let's take our left hand, place it on our right knee, and then take your right fingertips, swim them around behind you. So on an inhale, sit up nice and straight. And as you exhale, turn to look towards the right and breathe. Maybe on another inhale, see if you can sit up a little straighter. And then as you exhale, maybe turn a little bit more in the twist. Make sure that you're not pulling yourself into the twist, though, and that you're not turning and cranking, that you're really just focusing on going where it feels comfortable to you. You don't want to injure yourself or anything like that. After your next exhale, exhale, go ahead and return back to center, and we'll just breathe here for a couple moments. If you've been practicing with me, you may notice I have a lack of dogs running around. It has been raining here, and they have not gotten to play a lot, so they were being really obnoxious, so I put them up. They are very concerned about my outfit. So I figured it would just be easier to get them out of the way. Also, I had pumpkins, but a Fritz and a Franco decided to eat one of them, so those are up also. It was a little bit more festive around here. All right, we're gonna go ahead and twist to the other side, so we'll take our right hand this time. Let's go ahead and place that on our left knee. Take our left fingertips, swim them around behind. Inhale, sit up nice and straight and tall. Exhale, twist your torso towards the left edge of the mat. Maybe on your next inhale, you sit up a little straighter. And then on your exhale, maybe you twist a little bit deeper. Wherever you're at, remember to keep on breathing. And after your next exhale, go ahead and return to center. And we'll just take a couple breaths here. All right, when you're ready, let's go ahead and transition onto all fours, coming into our cat-cow. So if you have sensitive knees or your knees are a little cranky, you can use a blanket or a towel or just whatever you have to bring that underneath your knees and cushion it a little bit, especially if you're on hardwood floors like I am. Oh, this is going to be funny. I even have a tail. All right, so go ahead and come to all fours. Hands stacking under shoulders, knees under your hips. And on an inhale, look forward, peel your nose forward, lift the chest, lift the tail, drop through your lower ribs, coming into a cow pose. Exhale, round through the spine, tuck the tail, tuck the head, push through the hands, and coming into a cat pose, a little Halloween cat pose. Inhale, lift the tail, lift the head, look forward, cow. Exhale, drop the head, drop the tail, round through the spine, cat. Now go ahead and take a few more rounds on your own, using your own breath and your own time. And if one of these poses you're in it, you feel like you need to stay in it for a little bit longer, feel free to. We'll take one more round, and then we will meet in just a neutral tabletop position after your next exhale. All right, so from here, I'm going to get rid of my blanket, and I'm going to walk my hands just one handprint ahead of where they were. I'm going to press into my thumb, my forefinger, and my middle finger, and I'm going to tuck the toes. On an inhale, I'm going to look forward, and on an exhale, I'm just going to lift the knees off the mat and just hover in this hovering tabletop. I'm going to take another inhale, and on your next exhale, straighten through the legs, lift the hips up, back, and down, and we're going to come into our first downward facing dog. Now from here, you can walk your dog if you need to, bending one knee and then straightening. And then when you've had enough of that, go ahead and bring it to stillness, and we'll take just a couple breaths here. All right, on your next inhale, go ahead and lift that right leg up towards the sky or as high as it'll go. And then on an exhale, bend through the knee, bring that leg into the chest. And then we're going to step that right foot in between our hands, lowering that left knee down to the mat. And we're going to come into our first lunge for today. Now, this outfit is kind of like MC Hammer pants, so this is as far as I can go today in a lunge. If you can go a little bit lower, feel free to, but make sure that you're keeping your chest nice and lifted. This is a good place where you can use blocks if you need to come up a little bit more. And breathe. On your next exhale, go ahead and peel the hips back. Peel those right toes up off the mat. And then we're going to come into this little hamstring stretch. So point the toes towards your forehead. Keep a nice lift in your chest looking forward. And you should feel a nice stretch in the back of your hamstring. And keep breathing here. After your next exhale, go ahead and roll through that front foot, coming back into your lunge. Make sure to plant your hands. Tuck the toes under your left foot. Lift that knee up off the mat. And then we're going to step back into our downward facing dog that we were in before. Again, make sure you have a little bit of bend in the knee. You should feel a nice push and pull between the front of your body and the back of your body. Don't worry if your heels don't come down to the mat, that's okay. Mine do not either. On your next inhale, we're going to go ahead and lift that left leg up towards the sky. And then on an exhale, bend through the knee, shift forward, look forward, bringing that knee into your chest. Then we're going to step that left foot in between our hands, lower down on the right foot, and we're going to come into that low lunge. So your front knee should be at a 90-degree angle. You can push that knee out towards the pinky toe. And again, this is where you can use blocks if you need a little help bringing the ground up to you. I do today because of my outfit. So go ahead and breathe. Now after your next exhale, go ahead and shift your hips back. Peel those left toes up off the mat. Point the toes towards your forehead. Look forward and you should feel that nice stretch in the back of your hamstrings. Remember to keep on breathing here. All right, when you're ready, go ahead and roll through that left foot. We're going to plant our hands, and then we're going to step back into our downward facing dog once again. So go ahead and tuck the toes under of your right foot, lift the knee up, and then step your left foot back to meet the right foot, bringing your hips up, back, and down. And breathe. On your next inhale, look up towards your hands, and then you can step, hop, or jump your feet up to the top of your mat. On an inhale, come up halfway, forward fold, nice flat back. Exhale, let it all go, coming into a forward fold. Your hands can be on the ground, or this is another area where you can use blocks to bring the ground up to you if you'd like. Make sure you're not walking out through the knees, and you should feel a nice stretch through your hamstrings. Take one more big inhale, and on your next exhale, go ahead and slowly roll up to a standing position. Now from here, you can loop your shoulders up, back, and down. You can Adjust your clothes if you need to. My pants are coming up a little bit. There we go. And then really just ground into your feet. Hands at the sides. Shoulders stacking over the hips, hips over the knees, knees over the ankles, and breathe. Feel that energy rising up from the ground. All right. On your next inhale, go ahead and sweep your arms up overhead. And on an exhale, shift your hips back, and we are going to float back down into our forward fold. Inhale, come halfway up, hands on shins, flat back. Exhale, let it all go, coming into your forward fold. Again, you can use these blocks to bring the ground up to you, or a book, or anything that you have around you, and that is perfectly fine. All right. From here, if your hands are not already planted on the ground, plant them on the ground, so bend your knees as generously as you need to get down. And then we're going to step one foot back, and then the other, and we're going to come into our first plank pose. So make sure your hands are underneath your shoulders. Your back should be in a nice straight line, and then push back through the heels. That'll help keep flat. Make sure you're not rounding through the spine, and make sure you're not collapsing. So you should just be a nice straight line. We'll take just a couple breaths here. If you're shaking, that's okay. Go with it. And then when you're ready, you can lower all the way down to the floor, slowly, keeping your elbows in towards your body, or you can lower the knees and then lower down onto your belly. Yogi's choice. From here, make sure your hands are underneath your shoulders. On an inhale, look forward and lift up through the chest. So we're coming into a little baby cobra here. And breathe. Feel a nice stretch through the front body. On your next exhale, go ahead and lower back down. Now you have some options. You can either push yourself up into a plank, or you can come to all fours and then push your way back into a downward facing dog. So we're all going to meet in downward facing dog. So if you're going to push all the way up into a plank, go ahead and tuck your toes under, push through your hands, and lift yourself up into a plank, and then shift your hips up, back, and down to come into that downward facing dog. Or you can just push yourself up to all fours, make sure your toes are tucked under, and then go ahead and lift your knees and shift your hips up, back, and down. Up to you. But I'll meet you here, and we'll take just a couple breaths. In your next inhale, go ahead and make sure you're really stable through that left foot. Lift the right foot up towards the ceiling, and on an exhale, bend through the knee, shift forward, look forward, and we're going to step our right foot up towards the top of the mat. You can step your left foot in a little bit at an angle, and then keep tight through your core. Really use the core for this next movement, but you're going to lift up through your torso. So we're moving into a warrior one. So you should have a nice bend through that front right leg. This left leg, you might have to step it in a little bit, and the toes are turned out towards the left corner of my mat. So they're not straight, it's a little bit turned out. I'm going to turn my hips towards the right edge of my mat. Again, anytime that you're in this position, make sure your front leg is at a 90-degree angle and that you're pushing that knee out towards your pinky toe. And then you can leave your hands on your hips. You can bring your hands to your heart center, or you can lift your arms up above your head and breathe. Now from here, go ahead and lower your arms down And then we're gonna straighten through our front leg. Go ahead and turn your hips. Actually, we're gonna kind of turn our bodies towards this long edge of our mat. Shift your hips out towards the left, bring your arms out wide, and then reach forward like someone's pulling through that right hand. Now you may stay here, or you may start to lower your torso down, coming into a triangle pose. So like my legs are like a triangle here. Now your hand can come up to your shin. This is another good place for if you need a block, maybe grab a block. You want to make sure that your chest is spiraling up towards the ceiling. And make sure you're not walking out through your knees either, and your legs. We'll breathe here for just a moment. And then when you're ready, we're going to drop our left arm down, spiral our torso down towards our front right knee. I'm going to start bending through my right knee. And then I'm going to pivot on my back left foot, coming into a little bit of a high lunge here. You can go ahead and lower your hands down to the mat, and then step that right foot back to meet the left. We're right back in a plank pose. And breathe. When you're ready, go ahead and lower all the way down to the belly. We're going to repeat that same thing on the other side. So on an inhale, look forward, lift up through the chest, coming into that baby cobra. If you'd like a little bit more this time and you're feeling a little bit more warm, go ahead and push through your hands and rise up. If you feel any crunchiness in your back, lower down. And make sure to breathe. One more breath here, and then we're going to lower all the way back down. And then again, you can either push your way up to a plank and then come back into a downward facing dog, or you can come up to all fours and then come into that down dog. Completely up to you. Either way, go ahead and tuck your toes. Take a nice big breath in. And then on an exhale, go ahead and come into either all fours or into your plank pose. And then on your exhale, go ahead and lift your hips up, back and down, coming into that downward dog pose again. And breathe. All right, when you're ready, go ahead and lift your left leg up towards the ceiling, and then bend through that knee, shift your weight forward, look forward, and then we're going to step that right foot or the left foot up in between your hands. Go ahead and hop that right foot up a little bit, and then we're going to lift up through the torso using our abdominal muscles, coming into that warrior one posture. So make any adjustments that you need to get into this pose. Again, with my costume, it's not going so well. Or not as well as I would like it to, I guess. Woo. Okay. If you'd like to go in the full pose, go ahead and lift your arms overhead and breathe. And then when you're ready, let's go ahead and lower our hands down, straighten through that front leg. Again, make any adjustments that you need to. We're going to bump our hips to the back edge of the mat, lift our fingertips forward, and then start to reach towards our left toes, and then you can drop it down towards the ground or to your block. Now, if your right arm doesn't feel good spiraling up towards the ceiling, you can just bring it to your waist. So I'll leave that up to you. And from here, just breathe. After your next exhale, go ahead and bend through that left knee, pivot on that right foot, and we're going to come into that lunge position again. And then on an exhale, go ahead and lower your hands to the mat, and we're going to step our Left foot back to meet the right foot, coming back into a plank. And breathe. This is our last plank of the day. After your next exhale, go ahead and lower yourself down to the floor. On an inhale, rise up into that cobra. You can either do a baby cobra or just a regular little cobra, or regular cobra. I guess the baby cobra would be the little cobra. And after your next exhale, go ahead and lower your forehead back to the floor. Now this time, go ahead and push yourself up to all fours. Bring your knees as wide as the mat, and then we're going to set our hips back. Reach our palms forward and come into a child's pose. You can bring your forehead to the mat. Now if your forehead does not meet the mat, you can bring a block, and you can place your forehead on the block. And breathe. Your next exhale, go ahead and come forward. You can come into a seated position, and then we are going to transition onto our thumbs and bring your feet together. Now my feet are not coming in because of these MC Hammer pants that I have on, but we're going to come into a cobbler's pose. So your feet should be the soles of your feet together. From here, you can give yourself a little foot massage if you'd like. You want to keep nice and straight. Usually I can bring my heels in. So if you have tight legs, they may not come like all the way in, with your knees reaching the ground, and that's okay. You can use blocks or blankets or whatever you have around to kind of bring the floor up to you if you need to. Like I can kind of just sit here and do this if I want to. Usually, if anyone's practiced with me before, I can get my legs down to the mat. It's not happening in this outfit. I should have tested it out before I tried this, but that's okay. It's fun. It's for Halloween. So next week, it'll be back to the same old, same old. All right, so after you breathe and you rub your feet, we can go ahead and get rid of our blocks. And then set up for our final posture, Shavasana. So you can have a bolster underneath your knees, a blanket, whatever you need to feel good and comfy, but we're going to shift and come onto our backs and come onto the mat. So bring your feet as wide as the mat, hands to like a 45-degree angle outside of it. Focus on your breath. If it feels good, you can close down the eyes and just let everything go. We made it through another month of 2021. We're getting ready for November and the holiday seasons. So take this time down to just rest and rejuvenate. I'm going to go quiet here for just a moment, but know that I will keep watch of the time and I will bring you out of the posture here shortly. For those of you that have practiced with me before, and I did pull a card for today's practice for Halloween. For those of you that are new, after every class, or for every class, I pull an oracle card to see what the message for the class is. So the card I pulled today was Fox Spirit. And the message is think on your feet. The message for this card is, are you camouflaging yourself to avoid intimacy? Perhaps you are being too clever for your own good and playing games to protect yourself. Being dishonest with yourself or others can become isolating and create obstacles to true connection. Fox Spirit calls you to be attuned to what is happening within you and around you so that your quick thinking and creativity can lead you to better relationships and situations. You are called to use your Fox Spirit beneficially rather than in ways that keep you from experiencing what you want. Or perhaps right now you are realizing that a situation is trickier than it appears on the surface, and you are afraid to make a move in case it turns out to be a mistake. Fox Spirit is here to remind you that when you are in alignment with the Great Spirit, the answers and solutions can come quickly and you can trust them. Don't overthink a situation in order to avoid the challenge of facing a difficult truth. Fox Spirit's creative nature will always be there to guide you and help you move quickly into better circumstances. Which is a good message for Halloween, camouflaging yourself to avoid intimacy. I'm in this little outfit, so. All right, so if you're able to stay in Shavasana, stay there for as long as time allows. If you are ready to get going and move on with the rest of your day, then slowly start to deepen your breaths. Start to wiggle fingers and toes, bringing feeling back into them. And then when you're ready, go ahead and roll to your favorite side, bend your knees in and come into a fetal position. And we'll just stay there for a moment. When you're ready, go ahead and push yourself up to a seated position, bringing your head and neck up last. And I just want to thank you so much for spending your time and your energy and your practice with me. I hope you have a good and a safe Halloween and rest of October. I will see you in November. I will not be a unicorn anymore in November. I'll still be a unicorn in November, but I won't have the outfit. So I'll be able to actually do some of the poses. So thank you again. Namaste. Oh, and before we go, so I kept saying MC Hammer Pants. Hold on. Hold on. Let me pull these. Like, my crotch is not for real down here. So I feel like I have on like these MC Hammer Pants, and what was the dance? I think it's like Okay. I'm done. Bye. See you guys next month.